What's up, everybody? My name is Joe Brown, and this is Heresy Financial. Today, I'd like to talk about the fact that a bank run, like one of those old bank runs where banks used to have gold in reserves, then everybody would come and try and get all their gold all at once, and the bank didn't have enough and it would shut down, how that is very, very similar to what's happening during times of high inflation like right now. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, so to understand what's going on here, first we have to start out with a commodity monetary system. Not a commodity-backed money system, but a commodity money system where everybody's using, let's say, gold coins for money. For the sake of this example, let's say there are 10 gold coins. That is the total supply of money in this economy. After a while, for one reason or another, it's going to transition to a commodity-backed monetary system, and this might look like people just don't want to use the heavy metal to carry it around anymore, so they're going to go to the bank and they're going to say, hey, keep this safe for me. You've got the security, you've got the infrastructure. Keep this in your vault and just give me a receipt so I can come back and get it at any time. At this point, you have a commodity-backed monetary system. Now, this is important to note. How much money is in circulation here? Still the exact same amount. You still have 10 gold certificates trading as money in the economy that are redeemable. They're backed up by the money that's actually, the gold that's actually in the vault at the bank. So this transition has caused no inflation and no deflation. The money supply is identical to what it was before. Prior to this, there were 10 gold coins in circulation as money, and now there are 10 gold certificates in circulation as money, representing the 10 gold coins that are in storage. Same money supply. The next transition is one to fractional reserve banking, where at some point the bank realizes, hey, nobody's really turning in their certificates, redeeming their certificates, and so we can lend out some of this gold and nobody will know. We can make some extra profits on the side. So they start to lend out the gold that they have in reserves. Now watch what happens to the money supply here. You have 10 certificates that are all still trading as money that are supposed to be redeemable and backed up by the gold that's in storage, but some of that has been lent out. That means that some of the gold is trading twice as money. Once with the actual gold coin that's been lent out, and once with the certificate that says it can be redeemed at any time for that gold that is no longer there. Now, depending on the conditions and the circumstances and what is happening economically, this might last a long time or a short time, but what is inevitable is that at some point, people with the certificates go to start getting their gold back when they realize, hey, there's probably not enough gold in storage for everybody to get their gold, so I want to go get my gold before everybody else does because I don't want to be last in line and be left with a worthless piece of paper. This right here is your classic run on the bank, your classic gold run, where everybody goes to the vault and tries to get their physical gold because their certificate says at any time you can use this and get your gold. Well, because some of it has been lent out and has already been used, there is not enough gold to back up all of the certificates that are in circulation. So at this point, there are two ways that this plays out. Either it plays out as a first come, first serve basis where the first people in line get all of their gold, or the bank closes shop and says, okay, we're going to figure out how to do this in the most fair way possible. And maybe they decide that is everybody gets some gold, but nobody gets all the gold that they originally thought they were going to get. So if there are twice the claims on the gold in circulation than there actually is gold in the vaults, maybe everybody gets half of what they thought that they were going to get. Now let's take a pause here and explain in terms of purchasing power what's going on here. Money is a store of value, or said another way, money is a claim on future wealth, because money is not wealth itself. So when you store your value in money, you're holding back your claim on real wealth. Now, when just the gold coins were trading, that money could be used to make a claim on wealth whenever people wanted. Similarly, before fractional reserve banking started, when there were 10 certificates trading, representing the 10 gold coins that were in storage, those certificates could be redeemed for the amount of wealth people thought that they would be able to be redeemed for at any time with no problem. But as the money supply expanded from that next transition to fractional reserve banking, suddenly there were more claims on wealth circulating in the economy than there was actually wealth to back those claims up. Now, certainly somebody with a certificate could have gone and tried to spend their certificate to somebody, but at that point when there's a run on the bank, everybody's trying to turn their certificates in and nobody wants to accept them in commerce or trade anymore. They want to go get the real thing. They want to go get the thing that backs it up, in that case, the gold. And so at that point, everybody's trying to exchange their claims on wealth for the real wealth, which is the gold that is in storage. And obviously there's not enough gold in the vaults in order to do that, so it might be that some people end up getting all of the wealth that they thought they had a claim to, and some people get none of the wealth they thought they had a claim to, or everybody just gets some of the wealth that they thought they had a claim to, but nobody gets all of it. Now let's fast forward to a pure fiat monetary system. Instead of having certificates that are redeemable for something like a commodity, backed up by something like a commodity like gold, you just have the certificates, the paper themselves, trading as money. You get into situations then where the issuer of that money has no restraints, no fears of a run on the bank, and so they just feel like they can create as much of it as they want with no repercussions, with no consequences. They're not at risk of everybody storming the bank and demanding to get gold. There is no gold backing it up. They're not redeemable for anything. It's just money. But remember what I said money is. What is money? It's a store of value. Said another way, it's a claim on real wealth. So if you have $1 million cash, that is $1 million worth of claims on real wealth. You could use your $1 million to buy $1 million worth of stocks, $1 million worth of real estate, $1 million worth of clothes or food or cars. That $1 million is a claim on wealth. And the fact that it says it's 1 million, you've got $1 million, is sending you an information signal that you have a claim on wealth worth $1 million worth of wealth. Now, to push this to the extreme to show you what's happening slowly in real time, because it's harder to see when these movements are small, let's push it to the extreme and give everybody $1 million cash. Let's pass another stimulus bill. Federal Reserve prints a couple quadrillion dollars. Everybody gets $1 million cash in their bank accounts today. At first, what happens is everybody thinks that they have a claim on real wealth of $1 million worth of real wealth. And so you look out and you look at the stock market. You could say, hey, I can afford this many shares of Apple. I can afford this house. I could claim this many cars worth of wealth. There are all sorts of things that money could be spent on. Those are all forms of real wealth: goods, services, assets. And everybody now has a signal that they own a claim on real wealth worth $1 million of real wealth. But what happens when that money goes and starts to get spent? Did the wealth actually change? Did the wealth in the system actually change? No, the goods didn't increase as a result of the money printing. The services didn't increase as a result of the money printing. In fact, the services might have gone down, because if you just get $1 million in your bank account, you might quit your job. And there were no new assets created as a result of those dollars being printed. There's the same number of assets. And so the total amount of wealth in the system did not increase from the dollars printing. There's still the same amount of wealth, but there are now a lot more claims on that wealth than there were before from the money printing, because money is just a claim on wealth. So now everybody has their $1 million. What happens next? Everybody goes and starts spending it, right? They start redeeming those certificates, redeeming those claims on the wealth. It's not that they're taking their claims and bringing them to a bank and demanding gold. That system is gone. What they're doing is taking their claims on wealth and trying to redeem them for cars and clothes and food and assets. And they're finding out pretty soon there's not enough wealth in the system to give everybody $1 million worth of that wealth. So how is this allocated? Because in the gold run example, where there was a bank run, everybody went to the bank and tried to get their gold, might have been first come, first serve, where the first people got their entire claim on wealth, or it might have been just everybody got some of the wealth that they thought they were going to get. Well, it depends on how that money is sent out, right? Because when the money is printed, when the money supply expands, and some of that money, or all of that money, let's say, is given to a few people, that is the same thing as a first come, come, first serve. So since the 70s, we've seen the monetary supply expand drastically, and there have been a select few people that money works its way through the economy, and the first people to get their hands on the new money get to buy stuff, get to exchange that money for wealth at the original prices, which means they get all the wealth that they thought that money represented. As that money works its way through the economy, it bids up prices, and now the people who get their hands on those new dollars after prices have gone up, they get none or a lot less of the wealth than those dollars would have originally got before there were new dollars printed. Now, what's the other way that this is resolved? Well, let's say everybody gets their $1 million, like in the original example here. That is an example of where everybody gets some of the wealth that they thought. So the prices are going to react very quickly, as we saw after the massive money printing over the last year and a half, 2 years. We saw prices start to react very quickly, and where somebody had $1,000 or $10,000 and they thought, hey, I could buy a used car, or I could live on this much money for 2 months or 3 months. Now it's far different. Now that those dollars don't go as far, people are realizing that their claims on the real wealth that exists don't go as far. They don't actually have as many claims on real wealth as they thought they did. And the more people realize this, just like in a bank run, the faster people get in line to start redeeming their dollars for real stuff, real wealth, because people start to realize the longer I wait, the further back in the line I am. By the time I get to redeem my money for real wealth, it's either going to be a lot less or there might be none at all. So high inflation, prices increasing as a result of a drastic expansion of the money supply, is really the same thing that used to happen when there were bank runs. People start to realize these paper certificates, there's not enough real wealth to back them up. I better go get in line and redeem my paper for real wealth as fast as I can, because the longer I wait, the less wealth I'm going to get for it. As always, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.